In a very powerful new op-ed titled, "I Want to Be a Good Mom, So I Got a Gun," our next guest argues against the notion that gun rights supporters care more about guns than children. Columnist Bethany Mandel writing, "For many, support for gun rights is motivated precisely by our devotion to protecting our kids." Bethany Mandel joins us now. Bethany, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks
this
for having me.
op-ed is pretty powerful.
Thanks.
The title in and of itself. So tell me what happened to you as a child and your background that you write about if people haven't read the op-ed.
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up with a single mom, and my mom was an incredibly strong woman. And my mom was a hunter, and they used to go to a campground where there were a lot of bears. So we used to have a lot of guns for when they would go camping. And when my dad left, she kept the guns around because there had been a rash of burglaries and robberies in our neighborhood. And I was sleeping one night with my window open in the spring, and a ladder banged into the windowsill, and I woke up, and it was literally right above my head. And
How old were you?
3 or 4. And I started screaming, and my mom heard the bang and heard the screaming and ran in with a rifle in one hand and ammo in the other, and she just starts loading it as she's running. And she gets in the doorway. As she walks in, she said, "Bethany, get behind me. I don't want you to get his brain matter on your face."
Wow, what'd the guy do?
He just stood there frozen. He didn't speak a word. There was no, I don't even know if he understood English. He just stood there, looked at the gun, froze, and then just started scurrying down the ladder. And my mom still had her rifle in her hand, and she walked up to the ladder, and she waited until he was about a fourth of the way down the ladder so that he was out of reach, but still pretty high on the ladder.
Right.
And she grabbed the ladder and she shook it. And if she had pushed him, he would have broken his back. And so she really wanted to make clear that she meant business.
Don't mess with my daughter. Don't mess with my family. Mama Bear comes out.
Yeah, exactly. And she said, "If you come back, I'm not going to hesitate."
So then you're now a mother to 3.
Yeah.
And you own guns?
I own a gun. We moved to New Jersey from New York City in part because New Jersey is better, surprisingly, for gun laws than New York City.
That's why you moved?
That's part of it. I mean,
really?
There was also robberies in our neighborhood. And so we just sort of wanted to get into the burbs and raise our children outside of the city. But the fact that there were people crawling through fire escapes in our neighborhood when I was pregnant was not, it was kind of like a repeat of my experience when I was a kid. And I kept on saying to my husband, "But this time I can't have a gun."
Right.
And so, I mean, there was other reasons. We wanted fresh air, yada, yada. But so we moved to New Jersey, and I kept on printing the paperwork. And it's not easy to get a gun, especially in New Jersey.
Not in the Northeast.
No. So I kept on printing the paperwork, and I just couldn't get around to getting the fingerprints, the letters from my friends. It's a whole process. And then I had my address posted by the Daily Stormer, and they put a picture of me with a target. They photoshopped a target on me. And so when
you have children.
I have 3 children, yeah, and it was terrifying. And I was laying up at night listening to sounds, getting security systems, and still didn't feel safe.
Have you ever had to use it?
No, thank God.
Okay,
no,
good.
Thank God.
What's the message you want to tell people at home? Why did you write this?
So I think that a lot of folks, especially with Dana Lash, the NRA spokeswoman, are saying, you're choosing your guns over your children. And that's an epithet that has been thrown at me, that's been thrown at Dana, that's been thrown at a lot of women because they're targeting our motherhood and saying you're not a good mother because you own guns. And what they don't understand, especially if you've never grown up around guns, is that a lot of us have guns because we have children. It's not despite we have children. And we think they are valuable tools to protect our family. And a lot of the hatred against guns is based sort of in the media corridor of New York and Washington, where you've always lived within 5 minutes of a 911 call. And I didn't grow up within 5 minutes of a 911 call. I grew up in a trailer. I mean, we moved eventually, and I grew up in a trailer park maybe 20 minutes from a police department. You have to be able to protect yourself.
That's right. Bethany, thank you so much.
Thanks
if you want to read it, it's New York Times. New York Times printed this. It's, "I wanted to be a good mom, so I got a gun." Thank you. Congratulations.
Thanks.